I just saw what was possibly one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest movie of all time. We've got a lot to discuss, but I'm going to start with discussing the end credit scene, and then I'm going to jump into some of my favorite movements. Yep, that's how excited I am. I can't even speak words right now. I'm going to jump into some of my favorite moments from Avengers Infinity War Part 1. I might cry during this. Before we get started, I feel like I shouldn't even have to say this, but spoiler warning for everything. This is your last chance. Back out now if you don't want to know anything about Avengers Infinity War. I don't know why you clicked on this video, but spoiler warning. Alright, so jumping straight into the end credit scene, it's not much. Now, I'm not going to talk crap about it. I don't want to talk, down upon it, but I feel like with the amount of stuff that happened in this movie, we need something a little bit more than Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Like I said, I don't want to hate on it because I love Nick Fury. I love Sam Jackson. He's probably one of the greatest actors of all time. He's definitely one of the funniest. I don't know. I felt like we needed a little bit more because most people, and I'm going to get to it, but most people wouldn't understand that little symbol, right? All right, so yeah, let's jump into it. So basically, we have Nick Fury riding in a car with Maria Hill. They're in what looks like somewhere in California. I've only seen the movie literally one time, and it was 30 minutes ago from right now. I was still watching the movie. But yeah, so they're riding in a car in what appears to be California. And then out of nowhere, a vehicle slides into Nick Fury's car and knocks them out of the road. They immediately jump out of the car, and Nick tells Maria to go and look and see if the driver of the other car is okay. Well, once she gets there, she realizes that there is no person in that car. That's when she turns to Nick Fury, and Nick Fury watches her dissipate. That's right, Thanos snapped his fucking fingers, wiped out half the population, and Maria Hill was one of those lucky chosen individuals, which there were many more, and it really traumatizes me, and I do plan on jumping into those later on into this video. But Maria Hill disappears. Nick Fury is shown fumbling around with some sort of metal device. It looks like it's future tech for sure. It looks like it. What's interesting is that it looks future tech, but it looks like old school future tech. So it's not a type of communication device that your average Joe would carry around, but it also looks a tad bit outdated because we've seen this nanotechnology, which Tony Stark, oh my god, man, yes, with the new suit is badass. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing. But anyway, and then Nick ends up disappearing himself. But right before he does, you see an emblem. Yeah, that's right. Nick Fury was also one of Thanos' chosen individuals. Like, they're not in it. That's the thing. It's random. So Thanos is on this path to basically rid the universe of half of the population because he feels as though there's not enough resources to feed not just mankind, but all of life, right? So he thinks that he's actually doing the world a favor by doing this. And I want to do several videos breaking down the psychology of Thanos, because, oh my god, Josh Brolin, you pulled off the freaking role. So anyway, Nick disappears, and the symbol that comes on that freaking device, get ready for it, is Captain Marvel. Yeah, that's right. That just confirms that Captain Marvel is going to play a heavy role into Part 2. Okay, now I'm about to give you a super brief description of who Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, is, as well as the actress who's portraying her. So, Captain Marvel, the character, first debuted in the title Marvel Superheroes as an officer in the United States Air Force and security chief of a restricted, keyword there, restricted military base. She ends up meeting Dr. Walter Lawson, and that's a human alias of this alien race known as the Kree. We've seen them in the Marvel universe, just not in the cinematic universe. We haven't seen them on the big screen yet. We have seen them in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't really watch that show, so I don't, if you guys watch it, comment down below and let me know, what we have learned about the Kree from that TV show. But she ends up meeting Dr. Walter Lawson, and he's actually a Captain Marvel. Later on, or in a later story rather, Carol Danvers, Mrs. Marvel, Captain Marvel, is caught in an explosion of a Kree device, and after trying to get close to Captain Marvel, possibly trying to save his life, she ends up sustaining serious, insane injuries, right? So it's just like any other sort of superhero origin story. There's some crazy traumatic event or explosion, and then, you know, they resurface and they have superpowers. And this is exactly what happened to her. And like I said, I'm just going to stop right there because this is a brief explanation of who she is. So I don't want to go into full detail. If you guys want me to make a video on Captain Marvel, let me know down below. Okay, so what? Get the word straight. Carol Danvers is going to be played by Brie Larson, and she's an amazing actress. I saw her in King Kong last year, and I also saw her in this other alien movie. It was a spinoff of an alien movie called Cloverfield that came out a while ago, and it was like, it's in the same universe. But anyway, she's an amazing actress, and she's going to be playing Mrs. Marvel. They actually started filming her own independent movie, which comes out in between Avengers Part 1 and Part 2. And, you know, they started filming it last year, so we're super excited about that. But jumping into some of my favorite / what the moments from the movie. My probably number one favorite / I can't believe it happened / let's just say WTF, because we can't think of anything else right now, was that they could have killed Thanos, right? They could have killed him, right? So we have Gamora, who basically killed Thanos, and she did it really quickly. She went straight for his neck, and he died. But then we all realized that it was a figment of her imagination. Thanos was using the reality gem the entire time, which we saw in Thor Dark World. It's the ether that infected, I can't think of her name right now. She's a doctor. She's Thor's girlfriend. They broke up. I can't think of her name. But anyway, that's where we first saw it. So we realized that that was all a dream. Later on in the movie, however, when Iron Man, Spider-Man, I guess we can call him Iron Spider. Freeze for a second. The Iron Spider suit is fucking amazing. I was not expecting, and excuse my language, I was not expecting 4 appendages to just pop out the back like that. Now, to be honest, I kind of was, because we saw at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, we saw the suit, and it looked as though it had those tendrils on the side. And come on, I read the comic books. I watch comic book videos. One of my favorites is Comics Explained and also Comicstorian. So I'm well aware of the back lineage, if you will, of the Iron Spider suit. It was just out of nowhere, and it was amazing. He used it insane. He was like, I didn't even know this suit could do that. And then he just starts flipping around and using it to hold himself in the ship. It was insane. I plan on doing many videos for Infinity War. So getting back on track here, when they're all in Thanos' world, and we had that amazing scene between Star-Lord and Tony Stark Iron Man, and they're talking plans, and, you know, we saw this in the trailer, and pretty much Peter Quill, basically Star-Lord, basically tells Iron Man, hey, look, why don't I make the plan? Your plan sucked. Maybe my plan won't suck so much. And he was right. Star-Lord's plan was fucking amazing. Like, they honestly, they worked together. We didn't get to see them, you know, too much of making the actual plan, which made it more awesome when they enacted it. So basically, they're able to get Thanos all the way down to the point where he's completely restrained. It's literally a combination of everyone's powers. That scene probably took so long to film. I give them mad props because it was insane. It was a lot going on. It was just nuts. But anyway, they get him to the point where his throat is exposed and bro can't fucking move. He literally can't move a muscle, right? What do? Nothing. They try to pry the gauntlet off, okay, which is smart, yes, I guess, but his neck is exposed. Literally, his hole is right there. Cut it. What are you doing? Cut it right now. Like, literally, just take your fucking laser, Mr. Tony Stark, genius, who can make these nanobots appear from his chest. Take your fucking, form it into a sword and just cut his throat right then and there, bro. Right then, it would have been over. The movie would have been over, and I guess that's why they didn't take that route, but that frustrated me. And like I said, this is the greatest movie of all time. This that I'm talking about right now is the one flaw. The one flaw with it. I can't believe, and like I said, I guess they wanted to make it a part 2, which I'm not mad about. I'm not mad about at all. I'm super excited. I'm kind of glad they broke it down because it was an insanely long movie and it took my breath away the entire time. But this is like, dude, superheroes, super geniuses, 2 of them in that room right there. Not only is one of them a super tech genius, but another one is like a super surgeon genius who also is imbued with all types of mystical arts. You couldn't see the future and say, hey, slit his throat. We have him subdued, slit his fucking throat. He's about to wipe out half the fucking population, which they mentioned 3 or 4 times in the movie. Thanos wants to snap his fingers. Like, come on, guys. Are y'all serious? Did you really not think to just slit the man's throat? Okay, moving on from that a little bit. But this is like probably one of my favorite moments of the movie. It's not necessarily a what the fuck moment, so we probably won't spend too much time discussing it, but it's actually two separate lines. One of which is when oh my god, this is amazing. We have basically Tony Stark, and we have, I'm trying to think of everyone who was in this scene. It's Tony Stark, Spider-Man, and the Wizard, aka Doctor Strange, right? They're interacting with each other, and Tony Stark says something, and then Spider-Man responds, and he's like, don't embarrass me in front of the Wizard. That is probably one of the greatest, like, everyone in the theater bawled, laughing. Like, it was crazy. It was so funny. It was, like, perfectly timed. And I feel like, no offense, but I feel like the director of, I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and I love this dude. I can't think of his name, but I feel like he could take a little bit of knowledge, I guess, from the Russo brothers, because their comedic timing just made it so funny. Like, this movie was insanely intense, and the comedy added to it. I haven't seen a movie in which it's insanely intense and the comedy is done so well. Comedy, in my opinion, is all about timing. If you can get it done the right way, it would be the greatest joke ever, even if it's kind of a corny joke. Like, it's all about timing. And the Russo brothers handled their probably my second favorite line was with Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. And at one point, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, I feel like, I don't know, I want to use one alias, but then I don't, and I want to use a super. Anyway, Star-Lord ends up mentioning how they're all just a bunch of morons, and when Thor is leaving with Groot and the bunny, as he called him the entire movie, which was hilarious, they end up getting on the like, the pod and whisking wind. Before he does that, he says, later morons, and it's just like more comedic timing. This is another sort of like, you know, moment that I want to talk on, and it was Thanos fighting the Hulk. Now, it's a little bit bittersweet because this is right around the time in the movie where Loki dies, but Loki delivers the line, we have a Hulk, which is the same line that Tony delivered to him way back in Avengers 1. Which was in 2012, so it was literally 6 years ago. But anyway, it was perfect, and I honestly feel like Loki, because he didn't immediately hand over the Tesseract, is a good dude. I would love to find out that was a secret, I guess, projection the entire time, but I don't think so. He had his throat crushed, and there was like, there's no, you know, like Thor said, I think he's dead this time. Like, this is the actual time that he dies. And not to mention, usually when he does the projection, he's not too far away, and if he was in that ship, it got blown up. I was surprised that Thor even survived. I honestly thought for that 30 minutes that we didn't touch back with them, I thought they were dead. So once again, props to the Russo brothers for making such an amazing film, to have someone like me, who honestly, you can't really, I'm pretty hard to please. I know you're probably like, what are you talking about? You're fanboying this entire freaking video. That's just how good it was. When it comes to Marvel, I'm super, super critical. So, man, you guys did an amazing job. I literally thought that was the last of the Asgardians. I didn't realize we would get to see them again in the movies. So honestly, when we did, it was awesome. Speaking of which, and you know I'm going to bring it up because I am a mainly Game of Thrones only YouTuber, the boy Peter Dinklage, aka Tyrion Lannister, played Kiki? I don't want to stop recording this video to look it up, but he's basically the king of the dwarves. Dwarves in Marvel are massive. He was tall as hell. And it's funny because when I first heard that he was playing a role and we hadn't really seen him filming, aside from we saw him in a studio, like in a barbershop or something. He was getting his hair dyed red. That was the only sort of relation that we had to this movie. Now that I've seen the movie, I honestly think that was for something different entirely, because he didn't really have red hair. He had like a long wig. But either way, we didn't know who Tyrion was going to be playing. We didn't know who Peter Dinklage was going to be portraying. And for a hot second, I thought he was the voice of Ebony Maw. Mainly because I was convinced by theories on Reddit, but I feel like it would have just been perfect to have someone like his voice, you know, with that Ebony Maw character. It would have just been, like, you remember when he was torturing Doctor Strange? Like, I can 100% see Peter Dinklage being able to deliver those lines just as amazing as the voice actor, whose name I can't think of right now, did, you know, in the actual movie. So he ends up playing this giant dwarf, and then another thing that made me think that he wouldn't play this dwarf king, because honestly, as soon as we heard he had a role in the film, that's what everyone jumped to. I've seen interviews and I've read articles about how Peter Dinklage doesn't like to take roles that basically portray his status. Like, it was a rare thing for him to play Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones because Tyrion is a dwarf. And honestly, if Tyrion wasn't as well written and didn't have the most POV chapters, I don't know if Peter would have taken that role, because he doesn't like to. It's almost like he looks at it as like he's putting on a show where he only has something because of his stature, and he doesn't like taking roles like that. So that's why I thought for sure he wouldn't be playing this Dwarf King. It's awesome that he's actually the biggest one in the room during his scenes. I love that. It's awesome. I kind of wish he was given more time. And you know, we did see Stormbreaker forged, and this is apparently how the Gauntlet got formed. It's similar to that in the comic books. I can't think of it right now, the exact history of the Infinity Gauntlet and its origins of how it like got formed. But in the movie, they have this same Dwarven King making it. So honestly, if we get to the point where Stormbreaker's not enough because Thanos now has every single Infinity Stone, if we get to the point where Thor's axe slash hammer is not enough, then I feel like we're going to be going back to visit with him, and we may see more weapons that are built by this Dwarven King. Now we're going to shift the focus of the video to my little Thanos rant. I called him Thanos. Like, oh man, he's a bastard. But, you know, just touching a little bit back on more what I was saying about the fight with the Hulk, it was like the complete opposite. Because you remember when the Hulk showed up, he basically picked Loki up like a rag doll, slung him side to side, and just said, "Puny human, puny god." Like, best line ever, right? Up until later morons, and also, "Don't embarrass me in front of the wizard," which is, oh, such good lines, this movie. Jesus. But I don't know. I feel like Thanos is a pretty complex individual, and I'm still wrapping my mind around, you know, he does sort of have a point, but I hope that, you know, it's similar to this in the comic books, and there's different versions of Infinity War. There's an older one that came out in the 70s, and then there's one that came out in the later 90s, and I think they pulled from all of that, to be completely honest. And I think with this Captain Marvel and the Kree War that's coming up in her movie, it's supposed to take place in the 90s. I think they're going to start building into the Secret Wars, which is another, you know, ongoing Marvel story that involves characters from all across the board. So this could be where they're leading to in Phase 4. But I feel like Thanos, like everyone said, you know, during the interviews, the character Thanos, the movie, could technically be called Thanos because we get to see, you know, so much of him. But honestly, we get to see screen time with almost every other actor, like every other main Avengers member, which we didn't get to see that much of Black Panther and Wakanda. And to be honest, I can't believe he was one of the ones who got wiped the fuck out. Okay, like, we know he's coming back, and I'm going to theorize about how I may think that will be at the end of this video, but I'm just saying, did you really have to kill him, Marvel? And it makes me think back because I just recently saw an interview in which it was the entire cast, and they were asking, you know, different characters how much time we get to see with them on screen, and when they asked T'Challa, he said, it's an Avengers movie. You know, Black Panther is Black Panther, and Avengers is Avengers. So, it's, I mean, we didn't get to see that much of him. He had some good lines, and then he ultimately is one of those chosen. And like I said, they're not chosen. It's supposed to be random. But I'm just saying, he was one of Thanos' chosen individuals, and he ends up disappearing right before he goes in to save the Dora Milaje leader. She is Michonne from The Walking Dead. So if you guys want me to write down below in the comment section a video about all of my random thoughts, let me know if you want me to do a video on all of my random thoughts. But getting back on track here, Thanos is so complex, and they were right in the sense that he gets some of the most screen time, some of the most explanation, but it still leaves me with nothing but questions, and it could be that thirst for more than one end-credit scene, but I don't know. I feel like I want to see more of him. I hate this dude, and he's a bastard, but he is probably one of the greatest villains in not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in all movies, like in superhero movies in general. One of the hardest things to do is make a complex villain that you love to hate. TV shows, it's way easier to craft a villain because you can spend seasons molding a character and portraying it on screen and showing us this multiple facets and sides to this character, and we get to see this really good arc and breakdown because there's way more time that we get to see. with this, character that we spend with them, so we grow to hate them even more into all new complex levels, i.e. Cersei from Game of Thrones. It's hard for a movie to do that in a short 2-hour time span, but Infinity War pulled it off. They showed us, and I'm not going to lie, they've had so many movies over 10 years, and we've got to hear a little bit about Thanos. There was major setup for him. We saw him in the first Avengers movie at the very end. So there's a little bit of history to him, but they did such a good job of bringing this bean-faced purple bastard to life. It was, oh man, if you guys want me to do a Thanos video, let me know down below. So many different characters died on screen. I don't want to sit here and pretend, because like I said, I've seen the movie one time, like I can name all of those characters that died. But I've named a few, and it's kind of easier to name the ones that were still alive. If you'll notice, every single member that was still alive has had their individual movie making up the Avengers, right? So we had Thor, we had Iron Man, then that's pretty much it. Everyone else is dead. They're all dead. Everyone's dead. This is so sad. And I'm not stupid. I know, and I guess this is where I'll get to the part of the video where I guess I'll theorize about what's going to happen in part 2, how all this is going to be reversed. But I don't even have to do that. There's this little thing called the time gem, and it's going to reverse all that. We didn't get to see it, but I know we'll get to see it, and hopefully in Captain Marvel and, these next future movies that we get before Infinity War Part 2, hopefully they touch on it a little bit more. But Doctor Strange said he saw 16,600,000 different possibilities of how it all will end. He was literally like phasing through time, and he's seen it all. So if there's a timeline where Thanos, basically forms the gauntlet and he ends up getting the time stone, Doctor Strange saw it. So Doctor Strange knows how this version is going to end. That means that there must be a reason as to why he gave the time stone to Thanos. So I am going to do a video all in of itself talking about that more. This was a little theory of mine, and it's still being crafted as we speak. But there's a reason why Doctor Strange, who saw every single possible outcome, gave Thanos the time gem. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video, the like goal will be 100. If you could also please make sure you're subscribed and then turn your notifications on. If you want me to make more Marvel Avengers Infinity War videos, let me know down in the comment section. I have 2 more videos planned, and if you want me to continue to make just Marvel movies in general and that Captain Marvel video, let me know down below. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts reviewing the crap out of Avengers Infinity War reviews.